What's happening? Here I am, running. I'm not a runner, but I need to do something to distract myself from thoughts of Brienne. I made a mistake, a big mistake. I cheated on her and now she knows. Lord, how much I love her. Why was I so damn stupid? I think women are right when they say that men think with what's in their pants, not with their brains. Or another saying, it all started with that stupid boyishness. Married guys like me don't need to go to these events if there are other women present. Damn, I can barely remember her name. Seems like Sylvia or something like that. All I know is that she was out with her friends, and they all decided to start dancing. Damn, she has a great figure, but I should have been more restrained. For God's sake, I'm married. As I already mentioned, I wasn't thinking with my head. My friends were goading me on. Her friends and my friends were laughing. I was inspired. I led her into the women's restroom and into a stall. She took off her panties and stuffed them into the pocket of my pants. I unzipped and sat down, holding her on my lap. I left the restroom while she tidied up. When I stepped out, everyone was laughing. And then it hit me what I had done. I cheated on Brienne in front of witnesses. Welcome to the Dark Side channel. Dive into the world of human relationships, mistakes, and right decisions. Don't miss out. Subscribe and join our growing community. I waited for Sylvia to come out, to apologize to her and say it was a mistake. She laughed and said it was just fun. She told me to forget about it. It wasn't a big deal to her. I went home feeling not too great, but Sylvia seemed unfazed, so I figured I made a mistake and would never put myself in such a situation again. I walked in the door and Brienne, for short, I call her Brie, asked if I had a good time. I told her everything was fine, but I would have preferred to stay home with her. She said how sweet that was of me and kissed me. She felt a slight bulge in my pocket and asked what it was. Oh God, I had Sylvia's panties. "Show me what's in your pocket, Jeff," she said. I pulled out Sylvia's panties and started to explain to Brie. She wasn't listening. She stared at me and ran into our bedroom. "So that's why I'm running at 11 at night. When I got home, the front door was unlocked. I approached the bedroom door and tried to open it. It was locked. Leave me alone. I can't talk to you right now. Please just leave me alone. We'll talk about our marriage tomorrow." She seemed to be crying in the bedroom. I could tell her everything as it is, and maybe she'll try to understand. I took a shower and went to sleep in the spare bedroom. Brie and I were sort of childhood sweethearts. We probably broke up and got back together a couple dozen times. When I turned 21 and Brie turned 20, we decided to stay together and got married. We've been married for 3 years now. I'm really lucky I married Brie. She was a real keeper, a very beautiful girl, and now a woman. Half the guys in school were chasing after her. Every time we had those breakups, there was always a guy ready to snatch her up. During those short breaks, we both dated other people, but our minds and hearts always thought of each other. There was this one athlete in school who always tried to break us up. Steve was a confident guy, but Brie thought he was a good guy. So did a lot of other girls. He would always get mad when Brie and I got back together. I knew Brie liked him, but in the end, she ended up with me, which made me the winner. Brie was on birth control, but we planned to start trying soon. Some of Brie's friends were married and had kids. They kept telling Brie how wonderful it was to be a mother and how her clock was ticking. Lord, she was only in her early 20s and her clock had plenty of time to tick. I worked at the factory, but it was a major car manufacturer, and the money was good, plus I had all the benefits. Eventually, I became a mechanic at the factory. I lucked out getting in there through my dad, who had worked there for 30 years. Brie was babysitting her sister's 2 kids. It gave her some extra money for expenses, and she really didn't want to look for a job. I always feared that if she was away from me every day, someone might snatch her up. I remember telling her about this awful dream and always being afraid to lose her. She would just smile at me and say it would never happen. I endured one dreadful night of sleep, if you could even call it that, tossing and turning all night long. I feared losing Brie because of my stupidity. I wasn't sure how she would react and what she might do. It was Sunday. I got up and brewed some coffee. I heard Brie unlock the bedroom door and come out fully dressed. She told me she had cried all night. She was trying to decide whether we should stay married or split up. Bree, please don't talk like that. I love you. I just did a very, very stupid thing. I promise you it will never happen again. I'll do everything to make it up to you, but please don't leave me. Bree asked me to tell her exactly what happened. I told her the truth. I couldn't stand lying, and besides, I had already told her what a stupid mistake I had made. She asked if my friends were doing the same thing. There were 5 of us, and 2 of them were married to her friends. I told her I saw them dancing but didn't see anyone doing anything else. She asked if I was being honest with her. I told her yes, but I felt guilty and left home earlier than everyone else. Then she asked if I wore a condom. God, I didn't even think about that. I told her I never wear condoms because we never use them, and I never planned on doing anything with another woman. That's when she asked if there was a condom dispenser in the bathroom. I said there probably was, but I didn't use it. She told me that's all she's going to say for now. I can sleep in the spare bedroom until she decides what she's going to do. I needed to get tested for STDs before she'll have anything to do with me again, and even then she might decide it's over between us. She said she's leaving and will be back in the evening. I asked her where she's going, and she said she's going to her mom's. She needed some time away from me. After she left, I thought about what I could do to convince her I wasn't going to cheat. The phone rang, and it was Bree's mom. She called and asked to speak to Bree. I was about to say Bree was going to her when she interrupted me and said it's okay. Tell her they won't be home until Monday. They decided to stay one more day at her sister's. I told her everything was fine, and I'll pass the message along to Bree. Hanging up the phone, I thought about calling Bree on her cell, but decided against it. She wanted to get away from me, so I wouldn't bother her. I was surprised she didn't know her mom was gone for the weekend. I needed to step out for a while. Sitting at home and sulking was getting me nowhere. I got into my pickup and decided to drive around and think. Maybe I'd even go to the mall and buy Bree some flowers. For some reason, I drove past Bree's mom's house, and of course nobody was there. As I pondered getting flowers, I thought maybe she'd meet me for dinner. So I convinced myself to give her a call. Her cell rang 3 times before she answered. Jeff, I know it's you. What do you want? Bree, I thought maybe we could go somewhere and grab a bite later. Mom already made dinner. I'll stay here to eat. I don't want to be around you right now. I was about to tell her that her mom called me, but she just lied. She wasn't at her mom's. I might not even come home until late tonight, actually. I'll talk to you later. She hung up. Where the hell is she? Why did she lie to me about being at her mom's? Is she out settling scores with me or just hanging out with one of her friends? This made no sense. I knew where most of her friends lived. Maybe I should drive by a few of their houses and see if Bree's there. Damn, what am I even thinking? I cheated on Bree. Why am I even checking up on her? I drove past her friend Casey's house since it was on my way home. Casey was one of her best friends, and she always trusted her. If she was going anywhere, that was probably where she was going. Outside the house, I saw Bree's car. I couldn't go there now. I was the last person she wanted to see right now. I slowed down about 4 houses away and just sat there, contemplating my stupidity. I watched as another car pulled up on the other side and stopped in front of Casey's house. Oh shit. It was that girl Sylvia from the bar last night. Bree must have called her. Where'd she get the number? Hell, I could barely remember her name. I know I never mentioned her last name because I didn't even know her. As she got out of the car, she met Casey and Bree at the sidewalk. What the hell is going on? I got a bad feeling. When they walked into the house, I headed home. I had to think about it. A couple hours later, I got a call from Casey. Jeff, I need to talk to you. It's urgent. I wondered what the hell was going on. Nothing made any sense to me. What does it all mean, Casey? Is Bree with you? How did you know Bree was here? She left about 10 minutes ago. That's why I need to talk to you, Jeff. During the few breakups between me and Bree, I dated Casey. I liked her a lot, but she was Bree's best friend, so I tried not to be too friendly with her. I kissed her a few times. I never told Bree about dating Casey, and Bree never brought it up. I don't think Casey had said anything to her about our rare dates either. It doesn't matter how I knew she was there. What were you gonna tell me? Jeff, it's about what happened with Sylvia. I never thought Bree would go through with a setup. Please, Jeff, I need to see you in person and talk to you. What do you mean, setup? Are you saying that freaking Sylvia was a setup? Please, Jeff, not over the phone. Please meet me somewhere. I need to talk to you. How do I know this isn't a setup too, Casey? Bree's your best friend. You have to believe me, Jeff. You know I've always cared about you. I know you have. I just can't let Bree do this to you. Please, Jeff, I'm begging you. Please, let's meet. Casey was right. I knew she had feelings for me, and so did I. I just controlled them because I knew that Bree and I would always be together. Okay, Casey, I'll meet with you. But what if Bree comes home? I should be here. She won't be home for a few hours. She left with Sylvia to go shopping for sexy clothes. Where should I meet you? Go around the corner by your house and I'll pick you up. Let's say like 20 minutes. Okay, Jeff, I'll be there. I drove around her block twice to make sure it wasn't a setup. I should have known better. Why set me up again? I saw Casey standing by a big elm tree. I pulled up and she jumped in the truck. I decided to just drive around town while we talked. What's this all about, Casey? What do you know and why are you telling me? Let me answer the second question first, Jeff. I've always cared about you, but you always went back to Bree and I stayed out of it. What Bree's doing to you now is wrong. I love you too much to see her hurt you like this. Oh God, I said it and I'm sorry, Jeff. But I've always loved you. You just never saw it. Casey, I knew you had feelings for me, and I've always had feelings for you, but Bree was my girlfriend and your best friend. Now tell me what this is all about. Bree set you up last night. She and Sylvia decided to brand you. She knew if Sylvia insisted you'd slip up. Every guy would want to fuck her, and I guess you were no different. God, Casey, as soon as it was over, I felt sick. I wish I'd never done it, but I did. What does this have to do with Bree? Why did she want me to do it with Sylvia, and why did Sylvia agree? Jeff, I just found out the other day that Bree's dating Steve. You remember Steve, right? The old jock from high school back in town. He has a business degree and he works at an insurance office. Bree told me she ran into him one afternoon, and then they started dating. Jeff, she made a deal with Sylvia so she could take it up with Steve. That way she can accuse you of cheating on her, to tell you that she'll get even with you if you catch her with Steve. She hopes she can do it without you knowing, but she wants to have an excuse if she has to. Of course, Sylvia is just a wild girl and loves to show off her body. She sleeps with any handsome man. She's the real deal. And when Bree offered you to her unconditionally, she jumped at it. Oh my God, I didn't know what to think. My loving wife set me up to sleep with her old boyfriend. God damn it, what am I going to do now? Jeff, it's getting worse. My wife is sleeping with another man. How much worse can it get? She wants Steve to impregnate her. She stopped taking the pill a few days ago. She has decided that after you cheated on her, she won't have sex with you, and then the next man who sleeps with her will impregnate her, and that will be Steve. Why, Casey? Why did she have to go through all that trouble? Why not just divorce me, marry Steve, and have his baby? Steve's already married, Jeff, to his boss's daughter. The family has money, and if he divorces his wife, he'll lose his job and be cut off from money. So she decided she'd have his baby and get his so-called good genes, and you could pay for it. I couldn't let that happen, Jeff. I care about you too much to see her use you in such a vile way. What happened to my genes? Do I look so bad that she doesn't want my baby? I would have your baby, Jeff. I care about you so much. And Bree is just in love with Steve. I looked at Casey and saw that she was crying. She didn't need to tell me, but she decided to let me know. All of this is supposed to happen next Saturday. That gives me less than a week to figure something out. I asked Casey if she had eaten, and she said she hadn't because she was too upset and had to keep her cool to get all the information about what was going on. I told her I was shaking all over too, but I was going to eat anyway, so we drove out of town and stopped at a little restaurant. I realized I'd married the wrong woman. Casey was my true friend, the only one I could trust. I promised her I wouldn't jeopardize her friendship with Bree. She told me that after this was over, she would end things with Bree. Anyone who would do that to another person couldn't be her friend. After dinner, I drove her home. On the way to her place, we didn't say anything. As we pulled up to the elm tree, I looked at Casey. She had tears in her eyes, but she leaned over, kissed me, and quickly got out of the truck. I headed home, trying to piece things together and figure out what I was going to do. I was sitting on the couch watching TV when Bree walked in. I asked how her mom was doing and she said she was fine, and her mom asked me to say hi. I asked if she would forgive me so we could continue our marriage. I promised her that it would never happen again, and maybe we could even have a baby. I don't know, Jeff. You cheated on me and you want me to forget it ever happened. Maybe I should go out and fuck some man and we'll be even. Now I had a role to play. I realized that everything Casey had told me was true. I couldn't show Bree that I knew anything. Oh my God, Bree, how is this gonna solve our problem? If you sleep with some guy, it's just gonna cause more problems. We have to get through this if we want to save our marriage. Let's start over, Bree. I promise to do everything I can to make it up to you so we can have a baby. Please, Bree, if you do what I did, I know I won't be able to handle it and I'll go crazy. Our marriage will be over. I won't be able to bear the thought of my wife making love to another man. I will be afraid of what I might do. I know I'll probably go crazy. Bree was a little nervous. Okay, Jeff, maybe we can work it out, but I'm not making love to you until you pass the test. The last thing we need right now is for you to get a bug from some slut. Go to the doctor this week, and then maybe next week we can think about getting back into it and having a baby. Damn bitch is playing me. Next week after she sleeps with Steve. Well, I got news for her. This can't happen. I'll take care of it. As she walked away, she let me kiss her. I wondered how she intended to get rid of me on Saturday so she could share it with her lover. I guess I would have to wait and see. Reverse revenge. On Monday, I went to work. I only had this week to get everything in order. I called Bree and told her I would be working for a couple more hours. I planned to go to my attorney to file the divorce papers. We didn't have much property, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't paying alimony to a cheating wife. After Saturday, she would have to make her own living. Before the end of the week, I canceled credit cards and transferred savings accounts. She could also pick up the furniture. Later in the week, I was packing my clothes and looking for a place to sleep. A little background on our sex life. It was always very good. We made love in all sorts of positions. The only thing Brian wanted was oral with. She said she would never let a man put his cock in her mouth. She always told me she had a place for it. I had no problem with that. As long as she spread her legs, I was satisfied. But she hadn't done it herself since I'd known her. She didn't like a lot of my friends, even though they were married to a couple of her friends. She didn't like Bradley. He was an old man I'd befriended at work. He was slow, but would do anything for me. Bree always called him retarded, which pissed me off. He was slow, but a nice guy. One day when I invited him over to watch a game, Bree said she didn't want him in our house. She didn't like the way he looked at her. I asked Bradley how he looked at her, and he said she was a beautiful woman, and he didn't mean anything by it. He was sorry for making her feel uncomfortable. He didn't mean to do anything wrong. He said he would call her and apologize. I told him it was okay. He ended up buying her an apology card and wrote on the inside, "I'm sorry, Bradley." I gave it to Bree, and all she said was, "Screw it." How could I have been so blind to a woman? I think when you're in love with someone, you tend to overlook their flaws. Now I realize I fell out of love with Bree because I started to see her flaws, dating someone whenever we fought, not liking my friends, making fun of the less fortunate like Bradley. Now setting me up so she can sleep with someone else and have a baby with them. She even used her girlfriends in her plans. Why have I never seen that side of her? If it wasn't for Casey, I'd still be walking around blind. At the end of the week, I got a call from Casey. She said that Bree was going to use her to justify Saturday. She said that Bree was going to say that Casey needed my help to fix the sink. She actually told Casey to break a pipe or something to make sure I was gone for a couple hours. Bree knew that I would always help a friend in need, so she was going to use her friend and my kindness to her advantage. I told Casey that I was going to do some very bad things on Saturday. I wanted her to realize that I had to do it. I couldn't just walk away. She asked what I was going to do, and I told her that the less she knew, the better. I told her I would try not to hurt anyone, but I couldn't promise anything. If she didn't want anything to do with me after Saturday, I would understand. Saturday around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the phone rang. Bree had just gotten out of the shower and was wearing only a robe. Bree picked up the phone and said it was Casey. She had just had a pipe burst in the kitchen and there was water everywhere. She turned off the water in the basement and asked if I could come over and fix the pipe. She called the plumber. He couldn't come since it was Saturday. I looked at Bree in disgust. She looked at me and said, "If it had been one of your friends, you would have rushed over and helped them." "All right, tell Casey I'll be there in about a half hour. Have her make sure the water is turned off." I asked Bree if she wanted to come with me, since it was her friend. She could keep her company while I fixed the pipes. She told me, "No, I just got out of the shower and I'm not even dressed. I'll just stay home and rest." I thought to myself that I had given her every opportunity. I grabbed my tools and headed to my truck. I picked up my friend Bradley and then headed back home. When I got home, there was a strange car in front of my house. Bradley and I walked up to the house very quietly. I opened the front door and we walked in. I put my finger to my lips to explain to Bradley to be very quiet and just sit in the living room until I called him. I told him not to get up off the couch under any circumstances until I called for him. I asked him if he understood, and he nodded affirmatively. There were voices coming from the bedroom. I walked over to the coffee table, pulled my gun out of the drawer along with my other belongings, and slowly walked to the bedroom. The door was half closed. I saw Bree lying on the bed in just her robe, and Steve undressing. I listened to their conversation while Steve undressed. Bree told him she couldn't believe she was finally going to have a baby with him. She'd always wanted one, but he'd gone away to college, and she'd gotten mad and married me to get even. I was really hurt when I heard that. I literally wanted to walk into the room and shoot them both. My gun was loaded. Just as Steve took off his underwear and was about to climb on the bed, I burst into the bedroom. They both screamed as I pointed the gun at them. "Please don't shoot, please don't shoot," Steve yelled. At the same time, Bree yelled, "Jeff, let's talk about this, please don't shoot." I knew she wanted to try to play the blame game, but I was acting crazy and they were really scared. "Steve, do you want to do this to my wife so badly that you're willing to die for it?" All he could say was, "Please don't shoot me, I have a wife and kids." He kept crying like a big baby. I looked at him and told him that if he followed my instructions exactly, I could let him live. "Anything. I'll do anything you want." We had a 4-poster bed, and I told him to tie an outspread Bree to the posts. As he tied her hands, she screamed, "What are you doing, Steve? Please don't tie me up." Then she looked at my crazed look and asked, "What am I doing?" She begged me to let her go. It was a mistake and she forgave me. We could have worked things out if I had please let her go. I gave Steve a gag to put in Bree's mouth. I was tired of listening to her. He did as I said, and then I gave him a blindfold and told him to put it on Bree. He lunged at me, but I dodged and hit him with the gun. He fell to the floor. I told him that the next time he tried anything, I wouldn't hesitate to shoot him. I told him to just sit there and be quiet, and if he said anything at all, my first bullet would go through his skull. He just sat there, scared as hell, wondering what I was going to do next. I backed up a few steps until I saw Bradley and waved for him to come into the bedroom. Earlier, I told him not to say a word, not even a peep. As he entered the room, he saw Bree stretched out on the bed, naked if you didn't count the robe underneath. She kept moving and trying to free herself from her shackles until I yelled at her that if she freed an arm or leg, I'd shoot her right now. She stopped. I told her I heard she wanted a baby with Steve, so I was going to watch her get fucked. She had no idea there was anyone else in the room besides Steve and me. I looked at Bree and said, "The divorce has begun, and you can live in this house and have everything in it. I've already gotten my stuff. If you want to go to the police, that's fine with me. It'll be hard for you to prove anything. Bree, you got what you wanted. You slept together and you're probably pregnant and you wanted Steve. Steve, if you think you want revenge, remember you have a family that doesn't know anything about this yet. So now I'll just leave you lovebirds alone. I have to go fix Casey's pipes." With those words, Bradley and I walked out of the house, and that was it. No one said a word. I didn't see Bree until it was time to sign the final divorce papers. She signed them without a problem. She didn't say a word to me. Casey said she talks to Bree but is no longer her best friend. She told Bree that she couldn't be a good friend after what Bree did to me. I had to laugh. I asked Casey what Bree had said about me coming home that Saturday.
Well, she told me that you forgot some tools, and when you got home, you caught her with Steve and told her you wanted a divorce. She said Steve wasn't going to leave his wife, and she wasn't going to be able to raise a child on her own, so she took the morning after pill so she wouldn't get pregnant. She said she got the house and everything in it, but no alimony because you two didn't live together long enough. That's it. Oh, Jeff, I told her you came and fixed my pipes. I never told her I didn't have anything broken. She asked if Bradley was with you, and I said yes. Casey, thanks for having my back. I really appreciate it. And anytime you want to clear your pipes, give me a call. How about next Saturday, Jeff? Will you come and clean my pipes? I've been wanting you to clean them for 5 years. It'll probably be an all-day job, so come over if you want. I'll be there. All my tools are ready for the job at hand. Gosh, it's fun to be a part-time plumber. I love cleaning and scrubbing pipes.